Welcome into another edition of Keeping Up with Vestavia Athletics, presented by Olch Mulch. Caleb Brooks, joined by head football coach, Coach Robert Evans, fresh off of a big victory this past Friday over Oak Mountain, and really sets up now the biggest game of the year for you guys as you guys host Tuscaloosa County this week in a win-or-go-home situation.
Right, very similar stakes for both teams. They put themselves in a position, and we put ourselves in a position to get in the playoffs. In a one-game scenario, anything can happen. Coach Weingartner's done a good job bringing their program kind of back to from some tough times the last several years, and it's probably the first time in a long time where they've had a chance to get in the playoffs, and we've made it once in the last 6 years. So it's a big game for both programs, stepping stone. Would love for our seniors to go out in the playoffs and have an opportunity to compete for a championship, and so should be an electric atmosphere Friday, and we expect to get their best shot, and hopefully they'll get ours.
You talk about him kind of building up his program in year two. You're in year one here. Obviously, making the postseason is big when you're trying to build a program. Kind of just talk about the importance for both programs and getting into the postseason and just what that does for the psyche of a program, that type of stuff.
Yeah, well, especially in this region. I really believe, like, if you just look at the landscape of our state, that we're a top 10 team, regardless of classification. And, but it doesn't matter if you don't make the playoffs. And the same could be said probably for Tuscaloosa County. They may feel the same way. But it's just this region was voted the hardest region in the country in public schools for a reason, and it's difficult to navigate. But both programs have put themselves in a position. What I would say is, anytime your community can experience getting in the playoffs and playoff success, it just brings a different energy, a different feel, especially winning games. And this is obviously for the 4 seed in our region, so it'd be on the road at Austin, but regardless of where you play, whether you get a home game or away game, having success in the playoffs and being able to extend your season to get more meaningful reps for even your developmental guys, another 2 or 3 weeks of practice, it's almost like having another spring training. So there's more than just the obvious benefits of making the playoffs. I think program-wise, it's a really big step for either us or them, whoever comes out on top Friday.
And with 42 seniors on your team, how big would that be to get that extra practice time?
Well, you just want it for, it's big for those seniors because they've never been, and Tuscaloosa County seniors have never been. But B, yes, we're going to be a very young team next year. We're going to be playing a lot of sophomores and juniors next year because a lot of our seniors, especially on both sides of the line of scrimmage, will be gone. But we could certainly use the developmental time with our younger guys. Our last JV game is this coming Monday, and you just want to continue to develop those guys as long as you possibly can, because whenever our season ends in November, we won't put the pads on again until late April. So it'll be to the weight room and to the off season. But obviously, the biggest factor for me is just giving these seniors some experience and some memories that they haven't had, that I want them personally to be able to have experienced before they go on to college.
When you look back at last week's game, what did you feel like that your team did really, really well on Friday night to get out to a really big early
Well, we've been hot the last several weeks, getting off to a good start. We played with really good tempo. We got 2 turnovers in the first quarter, which was big, and then we converted both of those turnovers into points. And anytime we can get turnovers defensively and then score, we're going to more times than not be successful. And so that is a really kind of a big factor in us getting up. And if we can get up early, we're going to more than likely get into the 30s and 40s, and it's going to be tough to beat us when we do that.
When you look at this week, where do you want to see the most improvement or the most build off of?
Yeah, well, we've got some issues. Obviously defensively, we haven't played as well as we would have liked. Part of it is, though, you look at the landscape of football and how football is being played in both college and high school with the pace offenses. Hewitt's a pace offense. Mountain paced a little bit, but the way that we play stylistically offensively lends itself to us giving up a little bit more points. But that's just the trade-off. It's hard to play defense. You look at the Alabama-Tennessee game, and Nick Saban's got about as good a reputation as possible, and they had no answers for Tennessee in what they were doing. Part of it was the scheme, part of it was the players, and part of it was just the frenetic pace. And so, we're going to give up probably a little bit more points than we would like to, but that's the style we have to play, we think, long-term, to be able to run through Hewitt and or Hoover and then ultimately Thompson and then Central Phoenix or Auburn in the finals. You have to be able to score points in November. You're not going to beat those teams 14-10. Or we're not, at least at Vestavia, we're not going to beat those teams 14-10 in back-to-back weeks. You've got to score points. And we're committed to doing that. And but I would like to see us get off the field. We had several times to get off the field, and we didn't do it. And most of the time it was a bad call. And but it's kind of a point of emphasis this week is trying to get off the field. And we've got to be solid in special teams. We gave a gift on a surprise onside kick. Tuscaloosa County is going to take some chances in the kicking game, we think, and we may as well. Who knows? But those are the kind of the two areas of emphasis for us.
When you look at this game right here, and we're in a day and age where kids have access to seeing scores, things like that. When you look on paper, you guys played Hoover, Hewitt, Thompson a little bit better than them. Is that one of the big things you're having to get through to your kids? Is you can't pay attention to those games and what those results are?
You can turn on the tape and see that they're talented. They got the transfer quarterback that came in from one of the private schools in Tuscaloosa, and that guy's a really good player. And then they've got a back that's a junior that already, I believe, has SEC offers. So you can turn on the tape and say, hey, if we don't play our game, and football's just in a one-game scenario, anything happens. It happens every Saturday. I would imagine most of the prognosticators would pick us because they would do the same thing, look at the score, but you just don't live in that world. I don't live in that world. So we need to get off to a quick start, and we need to be able to tackle and get these guys off the field. And if we play well and get some turnovers, then yeah, we could put up some points and hopefully run away with it. But we don't anticipate. I anticipate a four-quarter game where these guys they're fighting for their lives just like we're fighting for our lives. And they do good things on offense and defense, and they're sound on special teams. And Coach has got a history of winning big games and being in big games. So, we have ultimate respect for Tuscaloosa County, and for us to even consider taking anyone lightly would be a fallacy.
How key is having this game right here, huh?
Well, it's big, and that we want to be in big-time environments in our own place. Our people have showed up all year. We've had 4 home games and 4 huge gates, and we would expect with the stakes being what they are that our people will show up, and we think they will. It should be the weather's changing this week, and when we practice Thursday morning, it's going to be 32 or 33 degrees, and we're getting into the cold weather. Game starts and it's already dark. Playoff implication football games, and those are the ones you kind of live for, and so hopefully it's a great memory for our kids and for our program, and we hope that obviously we can put our best foot forward and solidify our playoff hopes on Friday night.
What's your biggest keys for this game for your team?
Turnovers. We got to get them defensively, and then we got to protect the ball. We've done a good job for the most part protecting the ball in most of our region games. When we've turned the ball over, we haven't won. When we've been clean and played clean, we've won, and we've won in most scenarios going away. So if we can get some defensively, that would be huge, just like last week. And then just need to get off to a good start, and we got to find a way to get these guys off the field. It's going to be a 4-down game with these guys. They do good things, and they're not going to concede anything coming in here. I'm sure their kids are excited to get to this game. Our kids are excited to have a chance, and it should be a slugfest. And we think we'll be in a 4-quarter game and hope to come out in the end.
Coach, really appreciate you taking the time again this week, and good luck to you and your team. Really looking forward to seeing a big-time matchup here on Friday.
Thank you, Caleb. Appreciate you having us.
Ulch Mulch is a proud sponsor of Vestavia High School Athletics and the Keepin' Up with Vestavia Athletics show. If you're in need of lawn maintenance, natural stone masonry, concrete, or any other landscaping or hardscaping needs, look to Ulch Mulch, located right here in Vestavia. That's Ulch Mulch. Just call 205-704-0880 for your estimate today, or visit our website at www.ulchmulch.com.
Welcome back in. Keeping up with Vestavia Athletics. Caleb Brooks joined by head volleyball coach, Coach Ashlee Hardee, as they get set this week to head up to Huntsville and play in the regionals this week. And Coach, it's postseason time, and you guys won the most important game of the year last week with a big win over Tuscaloosa County in the first game of area that guaranteed that you were going to be moving on in the postseason. Obviously would have loved to have gotten the area championship from the tournament standpoint, but it was a great match with Hoover that goes into extra sets in the last, or extra, points there in the last set, and hard fought match. And now you guys will go, and this is, really this week, next week, these are the moments that you guys have been working for all year since June.
Yes, absolutely. When we can even take it back to when the reclassification came out, and we switched from Area 6 to Area 5, and then we get, so it's Vestavia, it's Hoover, it's Thompson, and it's Tuscaloosa County. That's tough in volleyball, and only two get advance. And so from the beginning, and we definitely have lofty goals. We believe that we can win the state championship. There's no doubt about that. But we got to get to Huntsville. We got to make it to the super regionals. We got to get out of our area. We were able to host the area tournament, meaning we won the regular season. That gave us a huge advantage. We had a playoff game here on our home court against Tuscaloosa County. We won that. Like you said, that secured us a spot, which was great. And then we played a thrilling match against Hoover, here later that evening as they got past Thompson. They got up 2-0. We came back. We were ahead late in the fifth. They scored a couple points. It ended up going 19-17. And anytime you get to a point like that, the ball, sometimes it bounces your way, sometimes it doesn't. And then, but it was an awesome volleyball night here in our building. We talked a little bit about that beforehand, and we had some younger students here. We had some of the middle school teams here. We were talking about just the growth of volleyball in Vestavia, and certainly in all of Birmingham, which is important to our sport. But it was an exciting night, and now we get to go on and play more volleyball this week.
Yeah, and I think that what shows you how tight this region was, y'all beat Tuscaloosa County 3-0 last week in the area, but every single game was tight. I mean, it was all right there at 25-20, 25-21. They were up on you guys, and then you guys had to come back in the third game. I mean, and it shows how tight this region was. There was a 4 seed, you guys were the 1 seed, but yet every game, every match you guys had to play, there was never an easy one where you rolled the ball out and won 25-9 or 25-8 or something like that in this area.
Yeah, there's some other areas across the state, maybe even in smaller classification 6A, 5A, things like that, where the area may not be as challenging. And but I like it. I mean, it's fun. This is we talk about enjoying the competition when you have it, and then the fact that we get to go out and compete every night and have to compete every night, I think is good for us. Tuscaloosa County is a good team. They got a lot of good athletes in their entire school, and they're building across all sports. And you're right, we had to play well to win. It wasn't just kind of sleepwalk through it and then see who we get to play later. Which like I said, at the end of the day, I think is good for us. We got to play good volleyball. We did. We were able to get it in 3, which means that we didn't have to go anything extra in that first round. Hoover went 4 with Thompson. But when we got later on in playing, I think the adrenaline carried everybody through. Hoover had to play 1 extra set. But like I said, it was a fun volleyball night, and we know our pairings now as we go into super regionals on Thursday.
When you look back at this season, we've talked about the strength schedule, all year with what you guys played, but how much, going to the Bodie tournament, hosting the big tournament that you had here, you go down to Panama City, you went down to Auburn, you beat Auburn at their home gym. How much are those moments now going to really pay off going up to Huntsville and facing now the best teams in the state?
Oh, it's going to be great. I think, we had a competitive schedule all year long, and which I think, again, it's going to help us out, as we were talking about how we handled the area tournament and had to play well, to advance. We went to some different tournaments. We went to Auburn, went to Panama City. We got to play people that we didn't know anything about, just kind of, organize ourselves pretty quickly in warm-ups and kind of throw together a game plan on the back of a piece of paper. But it's good for the girls to be able to do that. It's good for our team to be able to do that and to compete, and then, after we won the area, then, but we still had a lot of games against really good teams here. We had Homewood here. We went to Chelsea. We had Spain Park. We had Bob Jones here, which is, of course, who we play on Thursday. And we lost a couple of those, and I don't think there's anything about peaking too early or anything like that. We won our area championship. We had match point in the area tournament here, and we're headed up to play Bob Jones in Huntsville, and maybe it's a little bit of their backyard, but that's okay. And it was 5 sets here when we played Bob Jones. We were up 2-1, We know some areas where we can maybe choose to send the volleyball a little bit differently, whether it's when we serve or when we attack. We definitely have to play better defense. I think we've been working really hard at blocking, so we'll be prepared for all that, and looking forward to playing a good game.
Yeah, I mean, basically last week was practice for what you're about to see. You've already seen Bob Jones. They've seen you. You had already seen Tuscaloosa County. They had seen you. Same with Hoover. And so going into this game, what, not to give any secrets away, what kind of adjustments do you feel like that y'all are going to make that's going to be different than what y'all, showed them, and then what they're going to make that's going to be a little bit different than what they showed y'all the first time?
Well, for sure. Like I said, we have 5 games against each other. Certainly they're watching it, we're watching it, and but typically for us, if we want to start talking about statistics or numbers, when we serve, we look for like a 1-to-1 ace to error ratio. So just for round numbers, let's say in a good match against a good team, maybe we have 10 aces and 10 errors, and that's okay, because our belief is all the ones in between that were in bounds were tough enough that generated difficulty on the other team. We don't want to give away 10 errors, but if we're going to serve it tough, we're going to miss every once in a while. Well, our numbers coming back from the Bob Jones game was 5 aces and 12 errors, and that's something that we can correct, because the serve isn't dependent on anything else, on the other team, and how they don't really defend it. It's just you standing back there at the service line, and so those numbers will come back around to our averages, and maybe they'll go above our averages. In which case, a 5-game set, we're up 2-1. We didn't serve it very well to begin with. Some of those things change. The match looks differently here, and I think it can look differently, on Thursday as well.
Going up to Huntsville, your girls have been there. They've experienced it before. How much is that going to help in the fact that they've been in this setting, they've been in this moment, and they know what this is going to be like being up there and being in this environment?
Yeah, we went there last year. We had a tough draw last year, and having to play Thompson up there, and the Birmingham areas crossed in Huntsville last year. Thompson had a lot of seniors, and they were really loaded last year. They made a Final Four run, and that was our first game up there, and we played great. We came out, we were ready, we were prepared. We won 25-14, I think, the first set, and we just weren't able to maintain that level of play throughout, an hour and a half, hour and 45, 2 hours, a good match. And we've talked about that, and to be better at that. And then all year long, we won a lot of 5 sets here. The first game against Hoover was 5 sets here. Spain Park was a 5-set win. We've had some we played a lot of, in the tournaments, we usually play 2 out of 3. We had a lot of 3-set wins, and showing that we can play good when it matters, when it gets tough at the end, coming from behind or being ahead and then going ahead and winning. So we'll draw on all those experiences, and we can go up there and play good volleyball. We have good senior leadership, and we have some good young players too. We've been there before, so I definitely expect us to play well. And if we're really at our best, I think we have really good chances of winning.
So if you were to beat Bob Jones, you play the winner of who?
We'll see. Then on the following day, we'll see the winner of Spain Park and Sparkman.
Okay.
Will be the next line as
and
we
you guys
move on.
didn't face Sparkman this year, right?
We have not seen
Okay.
them. We've been at some of the same tournaments, but I've not been on the same court with them. So if we win on Thursday, we move into that game, and then but if we get through when we get through Thursday, that guarantees us into the Elite Eight. So it'll be another week of playing. Then the 2 Friday games will be seeding games for the state tournament, Spain Park, and then possibly somebody from the top half coming down to the other. There's 8 teams up there, in the north, and then we'll eventually see some south teams if we make it to the Elite Eight in the Crossplex the following week.
Awesome. Well, Coach, really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me again this week on Keeping Up with Vestavia Athletics, and good luck to you and your team as you guys head up to Huntsville, and look forward to hopefully being right back here next week, preparing to talk about the Elite Eight and getting you guys in the Final Four.
Let's do it. We're playing on it.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Ulch Mulch is a proud sponsor of Vestavia High School Athletics and the Keepin' Up with Vestavia Athletics show. If you're in need of lawn maintenance, natural stone masonry, concrete, or any other landscaping or hardscaping needs, look to Ulch Mulch, located right here in Vestavia. That's Ulch Mulch. Just call 205-704-0880 for your estimate today, or visit our website at www.ulchmulch.com.
Welcome back in. Keeping Up with Vestavia Athletics. Kayla Brooks now joined by Audry Vielguth, member of the volleyball team here at Vestavia High School, and for y'all, it's been just such an incredible year. You guys now find yourselves going up to Huntsville, playing in the regionals, a place where you guys have been before, and a situation you guys have been in before. Obviously, going up there trying to have a little bit better performance than you did last year, but kind of looking back at the experience this team was able to gain last season, how much do you feel like that's going to really help going up there on Thursday?
I think having a lot of people on the team who's been there last year is really good. Like, we know what to expect, but obviously it's not going to be the same. Last year, we won the first set against Thompson and then lost the other 3, but I think gaining experience from that loss is going to really help going into this game on Thursday.
When you look back at the season, the Bodie tournament, you guys hosted one here, you go to Panama City, you play Auburn down there in a tournament, and played some other really good teams like Catholic Montgomery and those type of teams. How much is that also going to really now help getting into the postseason and know that you guys have faced some of the best competition you can face this year?
I think having those tournaments was good, especially in the beginning of the season. Our team chemistry has gotten so good, especially because we're together for so long, and there's not really any drama on the team. So on the court, we really know what's happening with each other, because since we've been on the court so much, we know each other's tendencies and stuff.
You talk about the team chemistry, that trip to Panama City, being on the bus for so long, staying overnight, did that help the team chemistry get even better with this group?
I think we learned a lot about each other. It's a bunch of girls on a bus, so there's going to be some drama, but we're girls. We're going to learn about each other more.
Yeah. When you look now at this trip up to Huntsville, like we've talked about the long trip, you go down to Auburn, you go to Panama City, you think that's going to help with just how to handle this bus ride up to Huntsville and the mindset that this team needs to have on the way up there?
I think it will. Last year we had a bus ride up right after practice, which is what we're doing this year. There was a sunset, and we were like, oh my gosh, it's a sign, guys, a sunset. And then, we got there, we ate dinner, all together when we got there, and I think it was just really fun. Getting to spend time together right before a big game is important.
Obviously, you guys had success in the Bodie tournament earlier in the year. You had success in your own tournament here, went down and went undefeated in Auburn, all that. When you look back, where do you feel like this team has made the most improvements from that first tournament all the way to now this point in the season?
I think after every loss that we have, we've always come back. We know what we do wrong in all of our games, and then we come back with resilience and then fight even harder to get that next game.
You think that's going to be important now coming off, obviously the tough match with Hoover this past week and going into this matchup with Bob Jones?
Yes, I think that we lost against Bob Jones against senior night, which is a tough loss for us, but I think looking back on that game and our Hoover game, we'll know what to do when we get there.
Does that add some motivation too? Senior night, your home gym, they come in and win. Now you have a chance to go up to Huntsville, kind of their home place, and go and maybe knock them out. Does that add some motivation to this team?
Yeah, I think we have the grit and the resilience for that.
When you look at this matchup, what are some of the improvements you feel like this team is going to have to make from that first matchup with Bob Jones into this one?
I think that serving is really our strong suit, and we're kind of lacking that game. So I think our service is going to be a main point for that. And then our service receive wasn't bad that game. It was kind of a faster ball, so we just need to slow it down to our speed.
We talked about at the beginning part, having experience in the moment and things like that. Describe what it is like. What makes going up and being, at this event and all that different from just normal volleyball matches?
We know that if we lose this game, it's the end of the season, and nobody wants that to happen, especially the seniors. We want to keep playing with them for as long as possible. So I think just the thought of, this could be the end is just such a big factor for us.
We're going to do the get to know you part of the interview now. And so first, tell me what your favorite food is, and then how often are you eating that as well?
I really love some Chinese food. It's my grandmother. She lives in town, so she makes some really good Chinese food.
And it's like more Chinese food than going to the Chinese restaurant, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's your favorite dish that she makes out of all that?
There's something called lion's head, and it's glass noodles and then Chinese meatballs.
That sounds pretty good.
It is good.
Are you going over to her house pretty often during the week and eating?
We used to go every Friday, and then COVID, so we don't go as much, but we still go.
Awesome. Tell me about, are you watching a TV show right now, or did you just finish watching a TV show or anything that was really interesting?
No, I'm watching Gilmore Girls for the 5th time. I tend to watch things over and over and
Yeah,
over again.
I'm that way too. Because if I know what it's like, then I know I'm gonna enjoy it and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
What about, do you have a favorite movie, a type of movie, an actor, actress, or anything?
I'm a Disney fiend. Like, I like Moana. That's a good one.
Hey, yeah, no, it is a good one. Okay. What about, what's your favorite subject in school?
It was math. Math is really hard for me this year, so maybe not. But history is kind of fun because I kind of like taking notes.
Yeah. Is this the year where the imaginary numbers and all that started
That's
coming
what I'm
in?
doing right now.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
that was my last
that's what
class.
got me out of math too, was all that. So, what about music? You know, like before a game, like what are you really trying to listen to that gets you pumped up and gets you focused and motivated for a game?
I drive a lot of my friends to our games, so they're kind of like, play rap, and I'm like, no. And then I kind of play music in the car where like I can just like sing.
Yeah.
Just like get my voice ready to be.
And that's what a lot of the other players talked about. Y'all kind of sing together and
Yeah.
things like that. How much does that kind of help relax y'all and stuff before games?
It's really fun. Like before area, we had like a little party in the locker room or whatever, and there's like lights, glow sticks, and we were just like dancing and singing. It was pretty fun. It's very relaxing.
Do you know what you're planning to do after you graduate next year?
I hope to play collegiately, hopefully out of state, and then I don't know. I play beach too, so it kind of really depends on what's happening at the time.
Awesome. Kind of just give everybody a message on what has made this team special this year and what has made this a fun year to be a part of, you know, Vestavia volleyball this season.
I think our seniors this year have really made it different for us because last year, not dissing our seniors last year, but there was a lot of like groups and stuff, like seniority stuff, but this year they're really inclusive and everybody's friends with each other.
Awesome. Well, listen, really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us here on Keeping Up with Vestavia Athletics, and good luck to y'all this week as y'all head up to Huntsville. We're really looking forward to seeing how it goes.
Thank you.